Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan Steele, and I will be your nerd today and every other day that you watch one of my silly little shows. All right, so today's probably gonna be a fast one unless I get on a tirade and start chit chatting about a bunch of stuff. Um, Mostly because I am in deadline mode. It is the end of the year. I've got several projects that are coming to a close, and it is sometimes tough to juggle all these things at once. But if there's gonna be a good Christmas and a good Thanksgiving, I'm gonna have time to cook, and I think I'm making a goose this year. Like, I'm gonna actually like. I've never cooked goose before, but I make a hell of a turkey bird, and I think I'm going to apply some of those same techniques to a goose. One of my best friends in my college years works at a local butcher shop, and he says that they've got gooses. So, but yeah, so I've just got a lot going on. So I'm going to try and make this informative and fun, but also fast because I've got a bunch of stuff to do today. It's crazy. It's a crazy day. Um, that being said, let's take a brief moment to call out and discuss the week in Bryan. It's been a good week. I can't say anything bad. It's just been a solid week. I've been doing a lot of working, doing a lot of painting, playing a lot of video games with my kid. Got to actually after being canceled for several weeks, I got to play both the Waking Realms game, which is my friend's homebrew game where I play the capoeira cat monk, and we had kind of a cool session. It was where we are trying to we're exploring a city that has basically been hit by a magical meteorite, and so it's filled with all kinds of weirdness. And it's got like 3 locations in the city that but we are being paid / propped up as heroes if we go into this city and investigate. And we've already crossed one of those locations off the list, and we decided to start heading for the second location, this Wizard's Tower. And while we're running across this monster-laden town, there is signs of like a supernatural like thunderstorm moving in, and so we're like, well, let's pick up the pace a little bit, jog, but let's still be careful because we don't want these giant monsters and stuff to see us. And then we start noticing that like the lightning is not just it's like green, purple, like it's really not normal lightning, and it seems to be trying to hit things. So we're like, okay, run. And we make it to this wizard's tower. The storm is right behind us. It was a very tension built thing, but of course the doors are barred and magically warded. So our wizard goes in, dispel, blam, gets rid of the warding, but then they're still barred. And so our thief is trying to get the doors open, and I climb up to the second floor to see if I can jump in the window and maybe come in from the other side. It was a cool scene. We didn't get a lot done. We ended up having to quit early because old people get tired. Which is true, and but we did end basically with us getting inside the tower and starting to look around and realizing that everything in this place is magic. Not necessarily magic items like fancy treasure or anything, but just everything's been enchanted. So detect magic is doing us no good to try and find fun things, and it's an interesting backdrop. And I look forward to playing it more. Honestly, it's a cool environment, and I'm hoping that we get to explore it further, and that I do hope that it is more than just this whole place is magical. Everywhere you go, it's magic. I'm hoping that there is some like overarching plot within the building too. That is one of the only things I was worried about, is that the city might be the plot, and that some of these things are just going to be kind of like buttons on a map. But we'll see. Maybe there'll be like some cool wizard bound on the top of the tower, and we can free him or something. I don't know. And then I got to play in the Curse of Strahd game that I play on every other Wednesdays. It played last evening. Now you're going to realize when I record. Oh no! But so we had a real minor combat, bunch of like little thornbriar dryads or something. I don't know. They hopped out of some trees and shot stuff at us, but then we killed them off relatively quick. But we the session before, we had a big, deep, almost argument about whether or not someone should stay a werewolf, because several of us think that it's a horrible curse, and that you're only saying that you want to keep this because that's the curse talking. And then there's the other part of people that are like, well, if it's going to help them be a better tracker, if it's going to help them, if we can basically police them to make sure that they don't spread the curse, and when it comes to the full moon, chain them up, whatever we need to do to protect ourselves and them, then it's a worthy bonus. We spent most of the last session arguing about it. Obviously arguing in character. Nobody's mad at each other for these decisions, I hope. But it has made a definite, now that there's another session on top of this, it has definitely made a weird dynamic in the group, that there are definitely characters that look at each other differently now. How can you be okay with this person being cursed? Let's get this curse off of them. How can you sit there and listen to someone saying, well, yeah, a couple of days out of the month they turn into a bloodthirsty monster, but the rest of the time I get cool bonuses. That's it's very cool to have that kind of conversation. Well, in this session, we also we came across a ghost who let us know that there's something that we could possibly do, maybe to lay him to rest. He's been a ghost, a tortured ghost for hundreds of years, or for 200 years, and that there might be something we can do that's relatively easily done, but it does put one of our assets at risk. And we had that new conversation. Well, do we do this? Do we risk this person? Do we do this to try and save this ghost who means nothing to us? But then there's some of us that are like, yeah, but he's tortured. He is a tortured soul. For 200 years he's lived like this. He's done his time. He's made his penance. Let's let him rest if we can help him. It was a very cool session. And coming off of the heels of the conversation about, if you can solve, like, if you can spare someone their curse, you should. It is the good nature, the better nature of your spirit would want you to do this. And hearing now, I think in the beginning of the conversation we were just talking about the ghost, but I think at some point it turned a little bit into, some of us might also be talking about how what's her face over here, she's cursed and she wants to keep it, but breaking a curse is weakening the realm. And so like it's just it was a very cool session. Very little combat, but a lot of discussion, a lot of debate, and like good, like, more morality role playing, which in a Ravenloft game is key. I don't care if people say, killing the monsters and stuff is fun and it's a big deal, but when you're dealing with Ravenloft, one of the key elements is losing, similar to like a werewolf game or a Vampire the Masquerade game. One of the key elements is losing yourself in this dark, dismal surroundings, like losing the spark that makes you that makes you a good adventurer. If you're playing good guys, if you're playing bad guys, that's a different story. But again, I think playing bad guys in Ravenloft is the role-playing equivalent of basically just telling a mirror how great you are. But yeah, so that's pretty much, that was my gaming. I didn't do a lot of didn't do a whole lot of else, just because it's been very busy. Professionally, I've been very focused on. I did a little bit of Power Rangers work on a past project. We did go back and do a little cleanup on some stuff. Back at it with Transformers, and it is coming hard. Like I love Transformers. I love the world. I love the universe. And I obviously love the game that we made for it. But there's something to be said for when I'm writing an adventure, if I would love to play in that adventure. Yeah, obviously, every adventure that I write, I would love to run it because, I know all the plots and the secrets and whatnot. But for me, if I'm doing something, or if I'm reading something, or if I'm developing or editing or whatever, and it's something that I would like to be a player in, like, man, I would love to be the person that can see this or make this decision or do this thing. Then I know that I have a real good hunch that I've got a good product on my hands, and I'm getting those vibes hard from this adventure book. So I can't wait for this stuff to start coming out and be. I mean, we're getting close. It's November now. Power Rangers is due out in January, and then shortly thereafter, all the rest of the Essence stuff starts to trickle out. So I'm jazzed. But that's been most of my work. I'm editing doing an editing on a novella side gig for somebody, which I was talking to the author of that novella, and we may actually collaborate on something in the future. We may talk about doing a story together in the future that is not of the same genre that I'm editing for, but maybe, who knows if I've got the time. I know very, very soon I will have some cover art and maybe even a release date for my latest Shadowrun novel. Which I'm super pumped for people to see that. That was another one of those stories that really flowed out of me very well and came out. It was a lot of work, but I'm glad that everybody involved seems to be happy with it. Now that the post-edit process is over, we fixed a lot of the little things that bothered one of the editing assets. I'm jazzed. Again, I can't. This week has been really good. That as far as professionally and what goes. On a personal level, I always told you I'm going to let you guys know about how things with weight loss and stuff is going. I'm standing pretty steady at like that 36 to 38 pounds lost. This last weekend I had a wedding to attend, so that was a cheat day. I scheduled cheat day, but I'm having a little bit of a hard time bouncing back from it. I'm trying. But it'll happen. I'm not like hurting. Like, oh God, that one day killed me, and man, now I want potatoes and stuff. It's not like that. It's just I know that day I had a few drinks, ate some potatoes, ate some wedding cake, had some pasta, and I think that I'm still just basically bouncing back from some of those, from a lot of that salt, a lot of that carb load. But we'll see. It wasn't like I put 10 pounds on or anything like that. It's just basically kind of stalled out my weight loss. And we'll keep trying. We'll keep going. And I'm not frustrated to the point where I want to stop. I'm not even really frustrated. It's just one of those things where I know that I hit a little bit of a stall because I had a really bad cheat day for a wedding. I know the same thing will happen when Thanksgiving comes around. But I've scheduled Thanksgiving as a cheat day, just like I will schedule when we get together for Christmas as a cheat day. And then it really just for me, the big thing is as long as I don't do more than one of those scheduled cheat days, like every 3 weeks or so, I know there are people out there that are doing this diet, this health plan kind of thing that they schedule themselves a cheat day every week, and I'm like, no, like what are you talking about? Yeah, if I was like, well, every Sunday is the day where I eat what I want, I would find myself starting over every Monday. So no, I just have to basically make sure that uh, I'm pushing in the right direction. Um, Additionally, personally, I don't know if you've followed my TikToks or my Facebook page. I've done a little bit of complaining about the status of how the banking system and credit systems and stuff treat self-employed people. Um, it is no secret. Money sometimes for a freelancer is um, really a necessary evil, because you're waiting on invoices, you're waiting for a contract to come through, you're waiting on something for the government that they owe you money because you filed your taxes incorrectly, or it's just it's a pretty constant thing. And I ended up basically about a little bit over a couple, back in the summer I started this process. um, I realized that in my lovely home, I have a whole bunch of equity built up, and I wanted to take a second to, uh, discuss options with possibly refinancing to get a better interest rate, grown up stuff, adulting homeowner type things. But it became it was illuminated to me. I was let know that if this worked, I could pay off a bunch of the debts. I could pay off some of the maybe the medical debts that Natalie has accrued because of her illness. If you want to know more about that, we've got the GoFundMe, and the GoFundMe address is in the description of the video. But stuff we've been paying off a long time, and honestly, a little bit with some of the help from you guys, from some of the fans. But that we'll be able to take a chunk of that too with some of the overage, and it's just it was really originally shown to me that it was like, man, this is going to be amazing. Well, apparently bank laws have changed, and COVID changed everything, and blah 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 blah. And at the end of the day, I ended up having to switch banks. I ended up having to switch loan officers, just because nobody was willing to help or go that extra mile for a self-employed person. Despite the fact that I've been with the same bank, I've owned multiple houses since I've been self-employed. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. Despite all the fact that these are things that show, hey, nothing's changing and he's making money. The banks just really made it difficult. So we figured out how to change it up and go to a different thing. Well, this week, finally, we managed to come to an agreement with the mortgage company and figured out the numbers. And while, knock on wood, it is not completely set in stone yet, because at this point, I'm not counting anything done until I actually sign the paperwork and I've got check in hand. But my current mortgage officer, the loan officer, is very, very helpful and has laid everything out for us, and basically says that we've only got like one last little hurdle to get over, and I'm already getting over it. I will be ready to be over that in the next couple of days. And we'll move on to the next process, which is basically getting all the paperwork done. So that's a plus. That's a big weight off my shoulders as well. But that's mostly it as far as weekend Bryan stuff. I stopped over onto. I had a chance. Let's take a second before we get into the as a lead in to the topic of today. Let's talk about my sponsors. Let's talk about the great people at TurboDork, painting and paint supplies. They are amazing. I can't say enough about their metallics and their color shifting paints. Um, they just came out with a new expansion set, expansion 4, that's got some very very cool stuff in it. My favorite currently is Black Ice. Black Ice is a legitimate black metallic. I use it a lot on like if something is supposed to be like like mystical and deep, or it makes for a great baseline coat for like magic swords and stuff. And then you can go back over it with some of the other turbo shift, like the other TurboDork paints, some of the color shifting paints. You can like thin line them or just do like a really light coat, and it'll shine through. It's really really awesome. You guys should check them out. And over at their website right now, they are doing gift cards, which for a painting company, if you know anybody who does miniature painting, get them a TurboDork gift card, because not only are they gonna be able to buy stuff directly from the company of their choosing, so you don't end up getting, here's some colors that I like but you may never use. They'll get a chance to actually pick what they want, but it also gives them an opportunity to realize that as a company, maybe they get this. The hobbyists and gaming circles and stuff, we tend to be very incestuous when it comes to like the conversations we have and that kind of stuff. And if you get one person in this circle a TurboDork gift card, and then they turn around and get a gift card for someone else, and then for someone else, and that good idea spreads like wildfire. And so go give them some patronage. Go take a look at their website. They're amazing. I love their stuff. Speaking of loving their stuff, my newest sponsor, Sovereignty.com, is a tabletop board game emulator on your computer. It is crazy cheap and super fun. You can play all kinds of different games on there. If you have an unpaid account, basically you're just kind of trying it out. You get to play whatever the game of the day is. That like almost like a here sample this. This is the game you're gonna give a shot at. But if you actually have a subscription, you get their entire library of games that you get to choose from. Set up a table and then invite your friends, and you make your own little avatars and stuff. And you can zoom in in the engine itself. You can zoom in so you're just looking at the board. But if you wanted a different experience, more chat room experience, you can actually pull back and see you and the other players at the table, the other avatars. It's a very very cool service, and it's really really cheap. But right now, actually, you can, if you sign up, you can use our special promo code, the Tales from a Professional Nerd promo code, TFAPN, TFAPN, and you get 60 days platinum service for free. So go give it a shot. Worst case scenario, you go play a bunch of games for 60 days and then decide not to extend it, but I think you will. I bet you'll get a couple games in, and especially with the threat looming over your head that I'm going to hopefully run some game nights over there at some point and get you guys to come play with me. That would be fun. Give that a shot, sovereignty.com. And then my last sponsor, my oldest sponsor, my first sponsor, the near and dear to my heart sponsor, Armor Class 10 Apparel. I have been talking about how they have some new, some very, very cool new gamer isms and gamer adjacent isms on their shirts for the holidays and stuff. That'd be great to get stuff for Christmas or Hanukkah or Festivus or Kwanzaa or whatever any holiday, or maybe Happy Monday, whatever you want. But I picked out a bunch of the new logos, and I got one. I got my package. So this one, I chose to wear this today because I think this is just a fun shirt. So Captain Rogers' Neighborhood. I had to explain this to my 13-year-old kid because they never watched Mr. Rogers. So maybe I'll explain this to some of you guys out there. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was a childhood programming a live action childhood programming show growing up that basically was the moral center of most most of America for a long time. Is you learned a lot from Mr. Rogers. You learned, I learned how to tie my shoes. You learn that make believe is okay, but that you still have to remember that reality is a thing. Mr. Rogers was one of the first people on TV that I ever heard specifically call out racism and basically be like, people are different, and treating people badly because of how they look is wrong. If you ever have a chance to look up any Mr. Rogers episodes for your kids, because obviously he passed away a long time ago, but if you get an opportunity to look to show some of those episodes, they hold up. Yeah, it's about puppets, and when he does some of the crafty type things, they're for tiny kids, But again, there was something about that guy that was just magic. And for an adult, if you ever get an opportunity to look up Steve Rogers, if you ever get an opportunity to look up Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers was his name. If you ever get a chance to look up Fred Rogers, his life history, what he fought for, or if you want to, as an adult, do a quick little weep, is look up his testimony to the Supreme Court. He went in front of the Supreme Court and basically asked for government money to make a TV show on public broadcasting service to help kids. And the judges, they asked him questions. It wasn't like a grueling trial or anything, but he was very straightforward. He was very well spoken. He let them know, this is what I want to do, and this is why I want to do it. And if you will humor me, I would like to give you a taste of what that product would be. And Fred Rogers would sing a lot, but his singing was not like microphone worthy. It was not like, you're gonna put this on an album, or as a catchy tune like a Chipmunk song or something like that. It was almost like spoken word poetry aimed at kids, and the poetry was always surrounding moral thoughts, ways to handle real life situations, stress, depression, that kind of thing. But in a way, he would use music and the spoken word to make sure that kids heard him, and didn't think that they were being talked down to or lectured at. It was amazing. And in front of the Supreme Court, he sang one of these songs about basically how it's okay to be you. And it is, it's a grown man in a room full of government officials and other grown men and women singing a children's song in an effort to explain to them, this is the kind of programming that I want to make. And it's beautiful. Not beautiful like a gospel song, or not beautiful like, a perfectly harmonized tune. It's beautiful because of the sentiment. And one of the things that Mr. Rogers always was about was staying positive, even if you had a bad day, because that, your life is the moments that you make of it. And it's one of those things where that concept has stayed with me forever. I'm always saying on here, the reason why I make games, the reason why I am in the industry that I'm in, is because I want to leave the world a little bit happier and a little bit less stressed out than when I was here. And not to be all weird and oppress you or anything like that, but I think that Mr. Rogers and his show, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, was a huge factor in putting that thought in my head. way more than any church upbringing, way more than any individual family member, discussing things, way more than my own personal life. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was where I found a lot of my childhood moral center. And so, to get back to the topic, totally spiraled. This is how much he means to me. So then you've got Steve Rogers, Captain America, who is like the essence of everything good, just, and the right thing to do in the Marvel Universe. And so someone over at AC10 had the brilliant idea of, let's make a Captain Rogers neighborhood. And basically, the way it works is, in my head, is, I imagine this as a, what would Mr. Rogers do? Question you could ask yourself, and that actually applies to both Mr. Rogers and Captain America. Is, in most instances, what would Mr. Rogers do? And that would be an amazing show, where people are kids are having fun and learning how to be the best person they can be, and that'd be to mix Steve Rogers and Fred Rogers. So, Captain Rogers Neighborhood. This is one of the new shirts from Armor Class 10 Apparel. Please use the link below in the description to go to their website, take a look around. But more importantly, if you're making an order, use my discount code TFAPN. TFAPN. Use the TFAPN discount code. You get like 10% off, and that can add up really fast if you're buying a bunch of t-shirts for multiple people, or maybe a bunch of t-shirts for yourself. It's please go order some stuff and use my code. Not only does that get you 10% off, but it also lets them know as a sponsor that people are listening, and that they need that they should be they should realize. No, I got nothing. I don't know where I'm going with this. Basically, just use the discount code. Let them know that we're talking nice about them, and order some t-shirts. Now, on to the show. Today's episode has been titled "The Number One Rule Should Be Fun," and I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that I think making sure that everybody's having fun is more important than whether or not there's metagaming. I think it's more important whether or not the DM is abiding by every single rule. I think it is more important than making sure that the entire party shows up to game every time you play. I think that we have a hard time remembering sometimes that when it comes to these games, there is no obligation. Rather, there shouldn't be. Whether the game master, the dungeon master, the player. Obviously, if you're the game master or dungeon master, the game can't run if you don't run it. But that also means that if you're not having a good time, probably no one else is either. You're the hub of making that game happen. Or if you're having a miserable time and they're all having a great time, then maybe you need to let them know, hey, guys, I'm glad you're having a good time, but I need to take a break. It's just not coming together for me. The reason why I brought this up, this whole the number one rule should be fun, is because on Twitter, on Facebook, there's been a lot of negative stuff that happens. The holidays bring that out of everybody. Winter brings that out in people. There's been a lot of negative stuff, and on TikTok in particularly, there has been a lot of people in tabletop role-playing TikTok or D&D TikTok, or whatever hashtag you're writing. There has been a whole lot of people telling other people how to play, or basically highlighting that this game's no longer fun for me because I don't like this rule, or because I think that this should be done better, or whatever. And I guess what I'm trying to say with this episode and with this collectively is, at your table, do what you want to do. You talk to your game master, talk to your fellow players. Um, if it's about a board game or card game or something, talk to the people you play with. Maybe talk to, go online and look for some kind of errata or a fact about that game. Maybe they're missing something, or maybe find another game to sub in for a little while. Like whatever you need to do to make to kind of bring the fun factor back to your table. That's necessary. And then on top of that, you need to make sure that what you're doing is not robbing other people of their fun. I'm not going to name any names. There was a gamer that used to frequent my friendly local game store, which doesn't actually even exist anymore. At the time, and they had been attributed to a statement. A statement that stemmed from a deep conversation. I need to take a drink. My throat is starting to rasp out, and you're going to start hearing me clear my throat and cough, and nobody wants that. So, it stemmed out of a conversation about starting up a tournament of some kind. And when we were discussing how to put together the tournament, we were talking about painting and sportsmanship. And I am a firm believer, even as a painter, I almost did it. As an award-winning painter, as a professional painter, I still don't like painting requirements at tournaments. I'm not a fan. I don't like anything that keeps players from participating in an event. I do not like when an event says this must be painted. Now, yeah, if they're taking pictures or it's going to be, streamed or something like that, then maybe there should be a caveat that says if you do not have a painted army, you will not be featured, or something along those lines. But or if it's going to be something that's going to be used for marketing purposes, maybe then that particular event should be painted only. But I just, in my many years in this industry, forcing people to do the bare minimum for painting brings out two types of people. The type of person that will not play unless their entire army is painted up to their normal standards. And then the people who are like, wait, so all I have to do is basically make sure the model is covered and has 3 colors of paint on it. Okay, splorch, splorch, dot, dot, dot. Look, he's done. And I think that looks worse on the tabletop than bare plastic or metal. Please ignore the sound. If you can hear it in the background, my dog is outside the door and apparently has some dry skin or something because he is itching incessantly, and so all you can hear is his dog collar. So if you can hear that in the back of the video, I apologize. He's got winter itchies. But we were putting together this thing, and so painting scores, in my opinion, I love rewarding people for their painting. So having like a side panel prize, a best painted, individual unit or best painted army or something like that for the tournament, I think that's awesome, and I was big about that. But I am not a fan of having it be a requirement to entry, and I definitely do not like when it is part of winning the game. It is one of the things that I vehemently disagree with, because so in current 40K, the current edition of 40K, there is in their scoring system a little thing that basically says you get 10 extra points if your army is fully painted. I hate that. Because there are a lot of people out there who pay people like myself, people who pay professionals to paint their models. There are also people who are like, nope, I'm not going to do this, so I'm just going to slap on whatever paint I can to get those 10 points. Um, and I get it. It's trying to further the hobby. It's trying to make a more, you know, cohesive battlefield picture when you're looking at the table. I get that. But you start to run that risk. You start to run that risk of, do I am I forcing people to paint badly? Am I forcing people to pay for these extra points? Is this turned into a pay to win situation? Yeah, it's only a few points, but still. And tournaments that basically hardwire that in, I have never been a fan. I don't like for even as a painter, as someone who almost always feels fully painted armies, I hate it. I don't want to have an edge over someone just because I'm good with a brush. Um, and then the other, where this comes from, or the top, or where it attaches to this topic, is sportsmanship. So the player in question, which I was talking about, there was this gamer in question that used to frequent the store. That during the conversation where sportsmanship came up, where how do we try and score sportsmanship? How do you keep someone from tanking keep someone who's very competitive from tanking the guy who's in first place because it gets me closer to there, and how do you get how does that stop people from being too nice at the tables just to kind of wring out those extra points, you being fake and syrupy, and how do you do this? Do you just basically rate them 1, 2, and 3 your opponents at the end of the day? Like, how do you do this? And during that conversation, this player said that in no way is his opponent's enjoyment his responsibility. It is not his responsibility for his opponent to have fun. And that phrase has haunted us for us in this game, in my local gaming circuit. It pops up every once in a while, normally to make fun of someone who's being a jerk. That concept, that my fun is the only fun that matters. I don't need to care about my opponent. My job is to only crush them. Is such an anathema to me. It is such a foreign concept. Is it my job to take a dive so someone has a good time? No. But it is my job that if I'm winning, to maybe win in a way that we both walk away from the table smiling. We have a good time. You don't grind them to dust and laugh over their corpse. There's a fine line. And the ever-present "don't be a dick" statement that abides. But when it comes to gaming, there's also there's ways of scoring those extra points. There's ways of getting that stuff that isn't going to make fun of another opponent or demoralize them utterly. Again, a lot of people disagree with me on this, but even if you're in a tournament situation and there's a combo that you have been told, what? Perfect segue. Very recently, we got into a new miniatures game, Conquest, the Last Argument of Kings. Played a whole day's worth of games, and we thought it was a lot of fun. It seemed like it was going to be a really cool game. And a relatively local store is having a beginners tournament. One of those, hey, come on out for the first time, bring your army, you don't need any painting requirements this time, and come take a look. Well, not only is it taking place on a day where I need to focus on being a dad, but I'm not, after only playing the game twice and not really in line with everything about the game yet, the last thing I want to do, beginners tournament or not, is show up and just bog everybody down and what's this? How do I do this? How does that work again? I want to know the game a little better before I even go to a beginner's tournament. Not because I'm afraid of losing or because I want to make sure that I win, that I have a better chance at winning. That has nothing to do with it. I can lose all my games as long as I had a good time. That's all that matters. It is because I don't want to go there and look foolish and possibly slow down someone else's game if they know the game a little better than I do. I don't want to be that guy. Well, there's another unspoken thing in the back of my head of a reason why I didn't necessarily want to go to this tournament is because it's not in my local chain. It is not amongst players that I know, and there is nothing to sour me on a game faster than a toxic fan base. If I go to play a game and it is just a bunch of power gamers and win at all cost players and the 3-color splotch players, and if it's those kinds of players in this gaming community, I don't want to go to tournaments. I'll be happy just playing one-off games with my friends. And so I declined going to that tournament. And on the threads, the Facebook group threads, the one player in our group, in our local group that is going to that tournament, almost like a scout, hey, let us find out how these things go, asked the community, asked the gaming community, hey, I'm going to my first tournament. I've only played a couple of games. Does this army list look okay? Just asking for some general feedback. And the very first response that he got was, oh, don't do that because that's a waste of points. Whether or not you want to run these things, it doesn't matter. Don't do that. That's the wrong way to do it. Instead, if you do it this way, you can get a super overpowered character in a situation that he shouldn't be in because they haven't fact the rules to make it not happen that way yet, blah, 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 blah. And that immediately soured me to wanting to play tournaments in that area. That person might not even be involved with those tournaments. That person might just be an armchair quarterback and who talks about, reads all the Reddits and goes, well, this is how you power game. But it was the fact that was the first response, that it came within minutes of him putting that statement up. That rather than someone being like, oh no, your army looks pretty cool, this is maybe what I would do, or looking forward to see you at the tournament, or anything like that, or man, that looks fun. It was, oh, don't do that. That's a waste of points. Do this cheesy thing instead. And that's what I'm talking about. Is the rule number one, whether it's a tournament, whether it's got prize money, whether it's got anything, I would rather lose than waste my time having a bad time. Or worse yet, I would rather lose than sit across from an opponent that I know I wasted their time, that I made them have a bad time. That's just me. I don't want it that way. I don't want it to be that way. I don't want it to, the last thing I want to do, and it's not just because I'm on here on YouTube, and it's not just because I'm in the industry and I want, people to attribute me with good things. And, mind you, these are all, facets, of course. And it's not just because I want to be liked. It is because at the end of the day, my contribution to this industry is hopefully to help other people have a good time, to lose themselves in their games, to enjoy the time that they have, the time that they've chosen to sacrifice for the games that I am part of, whether I'm a player, a designer, a developer, whatever. I don't want that to be a waste. We only have so much time on this planet, and wasting it doing stuff that sucks, or doing stuff that makes you upset, or doing stuff that stresses you out and then carries through the rest of the day, it's not for me. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the cause or the source for that wasted time. I want you to smile. I want you to have a good time. And again, It all stems down to, if we are gaming, the first question should be, are we having fun? Are we having a good time? Now, there is limitations to this. Obviously, there always is, because the second you start, the second one person's having a crazy amount of fun, it might be robbing someone else of their fun. There is a current trend on gaming TikTok where there are people that basically are explaining how the rules of a game, a very popular game, say Dungeons and Dragons, that the rules are wrong, or the rules shouldn't be this way, or the rules should be changed. And at your table, awesome, do what you got to do. Just realize that you doing that, your house rules, your table rules, your way of adjusting the game to make it more fun for you, might be taking away fun from someone else. That might be, putting an idea in someone's head that, man, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should do this the other way. And I am a firm believer in responsibility to your social media. And some of these TikTokers have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers that they're going to see this message and go, oh yeah, maybe we should do it that way. And then it stops being a house rule and starts being I'm trying to proselytize to my followers to get them to change it at their tables, to get, to see my way as the right way. And I think that's wrong too. Let's say, hey, at my table, we use dexterity as the spellcasting component for all ranged combat spells. You don't get to use your intelligence or your charisma or anything like that. Because, ray spells and things that have an attack roll, well, they're ranged combat, and ranged combat should be dex, and there it is. I hear that, and I go, ugh, you're making dexterity even a better stat than it is. It already adds to your armor class. It already adds to a bunch of key skills, and then now you're also making it part of your spellcasting ability, way to lean heavily into one stat. Or the people who are like, sorcerers should be constitution casters. Okay, that the reason why that's not the case is because of game balance, and then there are people out there that, especially on TikTok lately, where they're like, game balance doesn't matter. That hurts. That hurts me on the inside. Is that basically saying that, nah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if your guy if a first level character can kill a dragon, or if again, this is the darker side of the rule number one should be fun, is there are players out there who the only way they have fun is if they get their way, if they get everything, if they have no negatives, if there's no challenge. The second they're challenged, they feel trapped. The second they're challenged, it's not fair that I can't do these things. What do you mean? Everybody else has dark vision. I should have it too. That isn't about you not having fun. That is about you feeling entitled, and your entitlement, or the fact that it's not being coddled, that's taking away your fun. And again, my rule number one: if I had a player like that at my table, that was like, my sorcerer should be constitution casting because of this, that, and the other thing, or I should have dark vision because everyone else does, or all these other things that I just said, I would have a conversation with that player and basically say, hey, my game, my table, the game that I'm running might not be for you. And it's no hard feelings. I'm not kicking you out. I'm not being like, get out, hit the bricks. And I'm also not saying that, what you're telling me is, damaging my soul because you don't like the way that the game is run. What I'm saying is that our play styles don't mix. And maybe you should probably find another table because at mine, you are not going to have a good time. You are if that is what is required of you to have fun, you're probably not going to have fun at my table. And while I want them to have a good time, I want everybody who shows up to play a game with us to have a good time. I'm not going to sacrifice everyone else's good time or my own just to make one player happy. In that instance, I'll just talk to that player like a grown-up, like a human being, and say, our gaming styles in this instance don't mix. You aren't going to have a good time in this game. You should either take a look at what, see whether or not you can open up and find the fun in the game that you want to play in, or maybe find another game where you could have that kind of fun. And I know that sounds a little harsh, and seems to like lean a little bit on that whole, it's not my responsibility for everybody to have fun. It's not like that. It's more akin to, I want these players to have a good time. I want to do everything I can to make sure that everyone is having a good time, myself included. But I don't want to have one player ruin everybody else's fun. And I would rather have a grown-up discussion that, hey, this isn't working out. Let's find a different way. Let's find a way for you to have fun either somewhere else or in a different fashion, so everybody else can have fun the way that we're planning. That's basically where I'm coming from. Yeah. So I don't know. I got a little on the tired. It's getting down to that. It's getting down to that time. I took a look at the clock. That's basically what I wanted to say. Is it just really comes down to everybody having a good time, or as to the best of your ability as a player, as a DM, as a board gamer, as a card gamer. Even if you are a competitive Magic player and it is your job to smash through your opponents as fast as possible, there are ways to do that with a smile. Don't be snide. Don't make fun of your opponent's choices. Don't brag about, man, that was fast, beat him 27-1. Just have a good time, play the game. If you win, make sure you do your handshake, your good game, elbows because of COVID, whatever. Maybe be like, hey, let's go grab a soda, or if maybe they're not, maybe your opponent really was having because prizes and tension and stuff that can make things pretty ugly. But it doesn't mean that you have to add to that ugliness. If you already realize that everybody's kind of on edge because of the game or on edge because of the finals or whatever, then maybe just dial it back a little bit, play the game to the best of your ability, be nice if you can. If not, just play the game. The last thing you want to do is be labeled as, man, that's that guy who came in and he destroyed everybody, but man, what a jerk. If you want to be that guy, if that's how you have fun, this is not the video for you. I am not the game developer and designer for you. We do not see eye to eye. But again, I just really want I want everybody to be safe, enjoy their games, shed that stress, find the way to make gaming make you happy and make people around you happy. The industry just really needs more of that collectively, whether it's in game reviewers, TikTokers, Facebook groups, professionals. Just we need more of that, and I think that starts with making sure that everybody's on the right page. And for me, that just means having a good time. So please, 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 be safe. Wear a mask. Oh yeah, I forgot. To mention, I won't be recording next week because it is the week before Thanksgiving. I have family stuff that is or well, it is the thing. It's the week before Thanksgiving now, but it's Thanksgiving next week. That is, I'll be too busy cooking and whatever to film next week. I might try and do a little bit of TikTok live if you're into that. I'm the professional nerd on TikTok. I'm probably going to do a few lives, maybe throw up a couple of rando videos. But here on the channel, I will see you in 2 weeks. I'll see you on the December 3rd will be the next video that comes out, which means dun, 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 not only will I be going through as Gamer Thanksgiving on December 3rd, but I will also be making the comment raffle drawing for November. It's going to be a fast one. That means there's only a couple of episodes in November to qualify to be in the comment raffle to win something cool. By the way, if you know Cormac or if you are Cormac, please email me. Let me know your address. I still have your October raffle winnings sitting over here waiting to get shipped out to you. So here we go. This is how we know how this goes. Please, please, please be safe. Enjoy yourselves. Have some fun. Have a great Thanksgiving. And if you celebrate it, if not, next Thursday, maybe take a second to raise your glass to us over here at the Tales from Professional Nerd Collective and go, I'm thankful for Happen. I got nothing. But over the next couple weeks, please, please, please enjoy yourself. Stay safe. Get vaccinated. Get boosted. Wear a mask if you are asked to or if you have to. And above all other things, have a good time and keep that smile and play some games. We'll see you in 2.